texting at night, and one child was fairly young, I want to say 9 or 10, and she had texted her grandma after she was supposed to be in bed, and the grandma, not trying to get her in trouble, made some mention, you know, that Lily texted me, and the mom said, "What time was that?" So that prompted that mom to have a discussion with her child that, you know what, sleep is really important. It's important so that you don't get sick with the flu or a lot of colds this year, you know, and it's important for your brain development. And so we're just going to have a rule in the house that we turn the phones off at, you know, whatever works for your family. I suggest 8, 9 o'clock, depending on the age of the kids. And with this mom, what she did, and I really think this was a good idea, the cell phone had to be turned in to mom and dad before she went to bed instead of taking it to the room, because that's just too tempting.
Right.
You know, even if you have a good child, if they have a lot of friends or want to text grandma, that's just very tempting. So
or have the charger in a certain spot so that the phone has to go to get charged every night, so you didn't forget for that most important call that may come.
That's a good way to put it.
So
see,
we have to charge,
kids, so that you're kind of saying it in a nicer way instead of acting like it's a punishment.
Yeah, so let's all take our cell phones, put them here, we're all charged, we'll all know where they are in the morning when we can grab them in case I have to get a hold of you during the day.
Perfect.
And then you know that they're all charged,
I love that. So you have that cutoff time for that cell phone, so there's not calls or text messages. And the other thing is the computer.
Oh my, yes.
You got to turn that off, and parents can be as guilty as the kids. So
I'm definitely guilty of that.
Oh,
I have to get in that. Yeah, I have to get in that last email because you know, I have to make sure.
It can be very addicting, can it? And now there's Facebook out there, so. You just need to make that commitment to yourself that in order to get your 8 or 9 hours of sleep, you know, figure it out in terms of what time you have to wake up for work the next day, and then just make that commitment that you will turn, I would say, anything electronic off by 8 or 9 o'clock, because it's the TV too, and don't take the computer to bed. You know, and caffeine, there's another one for adults and kids. If you're having trouble sleeping, it might be that you have to stop caffeine at noon or maybe not have caffeine at all.
Sure. Well, I know I always drink a cup of tea. I enjoy my tea. I was raised from my parents from the East Coast, and so we always had our cup of tea. And so I always make sure that I have my cup of tea. Now I have decaffeinated tea, so that works really well for me. But then it also gives me that soothing feeling in our cold Minnesota nights, so it warms your body from the inside out also. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
But
make it decaf or herbal, which is naturally decaffeinated.
Another thing I wanted to touch on with you real quick is your pattern, your sleep pattern. Now, that was something that someone brought up to me, is that you should still wake up every morning the same time, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, or if you don't have to go to work, so that your body gets into a set routine, you know. And
go to bed at the same time, if you can. I mean, sometimes we have a night out and we need those too.
Exactly.
But you know, if it's Friday night and you're not going out and you know you don't have to be up in the morning, it is still a good idea to go to bed at that same time, and yes, wake up at that same time, because your body just falls into a pattern. And I have had clients, especially if they've done shift work in the past, that really get their whole system out of whack and out of sync, and it can really it's challenging, and it can take a lot of time to get back into the right framework. So if you don't ever have to get there, that's best. So that's a great tip.
Wow. Yeah, it's good to know, because I know a lot of us, we think, oh, we'll make up for the sleep. Or we try to make up for the sleep, but then we drag for a couple of days, and you know, then we, of course, we put the sugar into our body to give us more energy, and we're kind of defeating our own purpose in that sense too. So
I mean, I find too, and there are nights when you're up with a sick child and you don't have enough sleep, and I'm grabbing for more food than usual. And even, you know, it's the cravings, but I think it's also that you're trying to put something in your body to stimulate your system to keep it alert. So.
Yeah. Well, there's so many people that have restless leg syndrome and are leg cramps. So I know I once in a while get a cramp in my leg, my calf, and you know, I was just wondering, is there a nutritional connection on that?
Oh, that's a great question, because that absolutely can keep people awake. The first thing we look at is magnesium. And there are other signs and symptoms of magnesium, and we usually visit with a person for about 2 hours that first visit.
Okay.
So we really get to know your body and your health, and if there are other signs of magnesium deficiency in addition to the restless leg syndrome, that's the first place to start. And like I mentioned, 62% of adults in America are deficient, so it's not unlikely.
That's really high.
That's really high, yeah. And I have a lot of theories on why that is, but we are lacking. The next place to look is iron deficiency. Oftentimes, iron deficiency is the culprit. So if magnesium doesn't seem to be the thing that is the reason for the restless legs, then we really encourage people to get their iron levels checked, because you don't want to just play around with iron supplements, because that is one that can get toxic or can build up to toxic levels. So we always recommend they get it checked by the doctor first, and then we know. And ferritin, there's a lot of different components of your blood when you're checking iron, but ferritin is really the telltale one that you want to ask your doctor for.
Okay, that's good to know. What do you think about the melatonin for helping us sleep during that process?
That's one of the perfect places.
Okay.
It's not my first go-to unless I have somebody that works odd schedules, like definitely a flight attendant would, or a shift worker, a nurse that's doing a lot of overnights, something like that. Then melatonin oftentimes can do the trick. And you can start at 1 milligram of melatonin and be very safe. Sometimes I even start people out with 5 milligrams, and that's very safe as well.
So you don't have the foggy head when you wake up in the morning, or?
No, I've never had people complain of that.
Okay.
And the best form of melatonin is something called sublingual. It's a little pill that you put under your tongue. That's what sublingual means. And then it absorbs right into your bloodstream. You bypass your digestive system, so you get that immediate absorption. And you want to do that right before you go to bed. And that can be really helpful, like I said, for the shift workers or people working odd schedules.
Okay, now is this something someone can get over the counter?
Yes, you can find melatonin, I believe, most anywhere. We sell it at our office, but I know any natural food store would sell it as well, or any co-op.
Okay. So that's a natural thing. Your body flushes it out after you've used it. It's not like an addictive type of thing at all. So
not at all.
Just to let our viewers know that may not be introduced to melatonin at all, or even heard of it. So that's great.
Right. It's a natural hormone that our body makes, but it gets off kilter when you get into those long stints of shift work. Or as we age, our melatonin levels decrease. So it might just be that you've naturally lost some melatonin. And then I mentioned that new research that came out with the chronic cell phone usage, and that's showing that because that affects something called our pineal gland, which produces our melatonin, some people chronically using the cell phone are showing up low in melatonin. So there are becoming other areas besides just shift workers that are low in melatonin.
Wow. Well, I'm afraid we've run out of time.
Oh, that goes so fast.
I know, but it's such great information for you to get out to the viewers. So I want to thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Cassie, it's been a delight to have you on. I really appreciate it.
This is a wonderful program.
Thank you so much. And we are now starting to get out on YouTube. So I look forward to having you view other shows of Knowledge for Wellness. And I hope we have provided you more knowledge to benefit you and your loved ones. And until next time, be well and goodbye. Thank you.